an ongoing investigation into a deadly crash in Westchester.
There certainly could be criminal pursuit of some of the actions here. This is an extremely traumatic moment. The kind of questions that you or I would want to ask him to know these things probably isn't appropriate until things have been stabilized.
Impending legal troubles for former President Trump.
NYPD is doing their normal role of making sure that there's no inappropriate actions in the city.
If a defendant does not believe a charge is legitimate or valid, they challenge it in court. They don't incite a riot.
New tools to help police on high-speed pursuits.
As soon as it leaves the launcher, it activates the GPS and immediately comes up on our tracking map in the headquarters, but we can also access that in the cars.
A Bronx woman's Ivy League dreams come true.
I'm a mom of 3. Will I be able to go to school? Well, there's one thing I always tell myself, that you just have to take the first step.
Hey, bring it. We're ready.
And still dancing, Princeton brings New Jersey pride to the Sweet 16.
These things are always hard to maybe quantify, but the scope and magnitude of March Madness of what it is right now, it's probably hard to argue that this impact isn't one of the biggest.
This is the PIX 11 Evening News.
Thanks so much for joining us with PIX 7 Evening News. I'm Kori Chambers.
And I'm Tansem Fadal. Well, tonight, New York City playing the waiting game as we prepare for a decision from a grand jury on whether or not to indict former President Trump. Yeah, the grand jurors are finished hearing testimony. The center of the case, alleged hush money payments made to an adult film star, Stormy Daniels, ahead of the 2016 election. Today, the grand jury heard more testimony from an ally of the former president, Robert Costello. The former president's lawyers hoped that he would discredit his former attorney, Michael Cohen. Cohen pled guilty to a federal crime tied to that payment. NYPD already deploying heavy security at the office of Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. There's a protest, in fact, happening right now ahead of the decision. Shirley's in front of the courthouse where the grand jury has wrapped up hearing testimony. Hey there, Shirley.
Hi, Tansem and Kori. That's right. We are live outside the courthouse, and the grand jury has wrapped up hearing testimony for the day. We do not know the outcome, but of course, with most grand jury testimonies, they are kept in private. Meantime, just about a block down the street from here, members of the New York Young Republicans, they have gathered right now to express their outrage at Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. They are now several dozen deep there. They're holding signs and we can hear them, but by and large, it is mostly a peaceful protest. Let's show you some video that we shot earlier today. Heavy security has been outside One Hogan Place all day. City leaders have been beefing up security ahead of a possible indictment. Now, the Young Republican Club saying that they will peacefully protest in support of Donald Trump. Top NYPD officials met today to prepare for any potential unrest if Mr. Trump is arrested. Now, over the weekend, the former president taking to his social media platform Truth Social to call for protests if he is arrested and indicted. He has said he expects that he will be indicted. Now, the possible indictment stems from the so-called hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election. Now, Mr. Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, has said he paid Daniels $130,000 at the direction of Mr. Trump. Trump has denied the affair. At the center of all of this is what is the source of the money, and did the former president violate any campaign laws? Mayor Adams says the city is ready for any protests.
We're monitoring comments on social media, and the NYPD is doing their normal role of making sure that there's no inappropriate actions in the city. And we're confident we're going to be able to do that.
Now, an arrest would make Donald Trump the first former president to be indicted for a crime. We will stay on top of the story for tonight for the PIX 11 News at 10. For now, we are live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Shirley Chan, PIX 11 News.
Shirley, thank you so much for that. Well, new details tonight on that deadly roadway crash that killed 5 children. We now know more about the victims and the sole survivor, who's just 9 years old. But police still trying to piece together what led up to this tragedy. James Ford is for us tonight.
It's one of the region's busiest roadways, and as pointed out by the county executive in Westchester, where the Hutchinson River Parkway is located, it curves and meanders for its nearly 19-mile length. However, at 20 minutes after midnight Sunday, this is what happened with the driver of a 2021 Nissan Rogue, according to the
The driver did not turn with the roadway, continued in a straight line. We believe hit a boulder and then hit a tree head on.
So not one, but two life-threatening obstacles. In the SUV, 6 children, 5 of whom died, apparently from blunt force trauma, according to the medical examiner. The children are shown on a GoFundMe page set up by their relatives, and their identities are confirmed by authorities as 16-year-old Malik Smith, who'd been driving the vehicle with his passengers, Anthony Billups Jr., who was 17, Zanaya Cross, 12, Chanel Cross, 11, and Andrew Billups, who was just 8 years old. They were 2 sets of siblings, and one of them, a 9-year-old boy, was in the cargo area of the SUV in the back.
The rear window had been shattered, it's an SUV, so it has the kind of liftgate window. And he made his way out the window.
This is an extremely traumatic moment, and the recuperation of the young boy is the immediate challenge to make sure that he, at a very young age, he's just seen 5 members of his family die. This has got to be an impossible situation for him as a young boy. So the kind of questions that you or I would want to ask him to know these things probably isn't appropriate until things have been stabilized.
But those questions, he said, will be asked.
There certainly could be criminal pursuit of some of the actions here.
Also at the news conference at the county building here, the county executive said that this driver, who was 16, did not have a driving permit. And even if he did have one, he still wasn't old enough to legally drive in the overnight hours. Investigators theorize that the driver had either fallen asleep at the wheel or had been distracted. Their investigation continues. Reporting from White Plains, I'm James Ford, PIX 11 News.
Well, hate speech is on the rise on social media, and it's really having an impact in the real world. That's according to the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which released its annual Digital Terrorism and Hate Report card today. The human rights organization says there's been a rise in comments targeting the LGBTQ community and ethnic groups across several organizations. The report described TikTok as a rabbit hole that can lure people to racist information and groups. Telegram had the worst record for allowing anti-Semitic speech and messages targeting minority groups. And Twitter has gotten worse at mainstreaming hate speech.
Twitter, since the takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk, a lot of the rules that they had in place, they had actually done a pretty good job of regulating Twitter until he took over. Now we're seeing more anti-Semitic profiles.
The organization is calling on social media companies to regulate users' messages and for law enforcement to track dangerous and threatening posts. All right, well, still to come at 6:30. It's officially spring, but will this week feel like it at all? Another check on the forecast is just ahead.
And Ivy League dreams realized. The local mother of 3 is on her way to Columbia University thanks to a huge scholarship.
And attempts to stop high-speed chases see the new tool one Long Island Police Department is using to give officers an upper hand when we come back.
Nothing says New York like PIX 11. New York news. New York weather. New York traffic. Wake up every day to the news that's all about New York. The PIX 11 Morning News. New York's very own.
A police department on Long Island launching a new technology, a device that will shoot a projectile and attach a GPS device to cars that are trying to flee police.
It feels like a Batman thing to me. Eileen LaPalmer has more from Old Westbury.
The Old Westbury Police Department, the first on Long Island to use this technology. Here it is. It's basically a canister with a GPS device inside. It then gets fired from a patrol car and attaches to the back of a suspect's car, allowing police to avoid a chase. This is how quick it happens. The Old Westbury Police Department now using Star Chase technology to try to avoid dangerous police pursuits. The launcher with an air compressor is attached to the front of a patrol car, and with the click of a button, a canister capable of traveling 20 to 30 feet is fired. A GPS device inside. Strong adhesive makes it stick to the back of a car, and it's not easy to pull off.
As soon as it leaves the launcher, it activates the GPS and immediately comes up on our tracking map in the headquarters, but we can also access that in the cars.
Old Westbury Police Chief Stuart Cameron says it costs $6,000 to install one unit on one squad car. They put it on 4 of the village's 6 patrol cars. Cameron says the idea is to avoid high-speed chases.
More and more people are running from police. They really need to be held accountable, and it needs to be done in a safe manner. We can't endanger our police officers, we can't endanger the public, and we really can't even endanger the people that are running from us.
The system can be activated from inside the car, or the officer can use a remote to fire it from outside the car.
I have the remote in my hand, the car starts to drive away, so I press the button. That's it, tag.
Police can then track the car safely from a distance or get ahead of it and put down these stop-stick tire deflation strips. The Old Westbury Police Department is the first on Long Island to use Star Chase. So what do residents think about the technology and the $24,000 price tag?
That's not a lot of money. Come on. We pay $45,000 taxes. One house.
I'd have to, investigate it a little bit more and understand it a little bit more, to really make some sort of a positive or negative comment about it.
I think it's great. They can't get away,
Here on Long Island, the Nassau and Suffolk Police Departments not using this technology at this point, and neither is the NYPD. But the Star Chase company says they do have other departments in New York State that are using the technology, as well as departments in 30 other states nationwide. We are here in Old Westbury. Eileen LaPalmer, PIX 11 News.
A Bronx mom on her way to becoming a healthcare hero thanks to a scholarship to an Ivy League school. Her inspiring story is coming up next.
Yeah, plus the Princeton Tigers still on the prowl for an NCAA championship. And New Jersey is full with hometown pride for their Ivy League team. There's a lot of buzz ahead of the next game.
Nothing says New York like PIX 11. New York news. New York weather. New York traffic. Wake up every day to the news that's all about New York. The PIX 11 Morning News. New York's very own. You're watching the PIX 11 Evening News.
I think this next story is going to make you believe that if you have a dream, nothing can stop you.
A Bronx woman is going to have her Ivy League college dreams paid for thanks to a new scholarship. Monica Morales has her incredible story.
37-year-old Hawa Antoinette Abraham says when she wants something, well, she never gives up. She's always dreamed of going to college, and well, that dream is coming true, and now she is telling her story to inspire others.
Everyone I told in my family, they told me that's a big deal. I was like, yeah, I know.
37-year-old Hawa Antoinette Abraham says she is so excited to be a second-year student at Hostos Community College on her way to Columbia University to study community health. It's been a long road to get here.
I'm a mom of 3. Will I be able to go to school? Well, there's one thing I always tell myself, that you just have to take the first step.
Abraham is a refugee from Sierra Leone in West Africa, where she endured a decade of violence and brutal conflict. She began her nursing studies in Liberia, came to America with her family, chasing the American dream.
Because I remember when I used to go to school, hungry. And I know there are a lot of girls out there. I said to myself, I need to go back home and establish free school lunch.
Now, thanks to a scholarship, she's able to pursue and afford her dream of going to Columbia University this fall and making a difference. Do you have to pinch yourself?
Several times.
The full scholarship at Hostos Community College is thanks to a $15 million gift to the college by Mackenzie Scott in 2020. One of those programs is called the Next Gen Public Health Scholars Program. Abraham is one of 3 recipients this year.
Congratulations. I look forward to the wonderful future that you have ahead.
Dr. Sofia Oviedo is Director of Research Programs at Hostos and says there are half a dozen programs created to help students here.
To improve our students' access to academic opportunities and also support the opening of a new Hostos Research Center.
Abraham's dream is to become an epidemiologist, go back to Sierra Leone, and create a foundation to help feed children there in need.
I believe I'm in a dream.
And her advice to others is to never, ever give up. And again, 3 students got this full ride scholarship plus living expenses to go to Columbia University. If you want more information about the Hostos Community College resources that are available here, just go to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok at Monica Morales TV, or scan the QR code right here and we'll link you there. In the Bronx, Monica Morales, PIX 11 News.
Great story.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this weather, because speaking of great, I mean, it's gonna get pretty darn good.
Yeah,
Chris.
you know, spring starts around here sometimes and you're like, this isn't spring, is it? But it is going to feel like it for a few days, so something to look forward to. Already looks like spring out there. Depends on where you are exactly right now, though. Those temperatures are chilly, especially the south-facing shorelines of Brooklyn, Queens, out across Long Island. Look at the number in Jamaica, only 43 right now. It's 47 in Harlem, Park Slope 50, but 53 in Newark. You're going to be in the 60s tomorrow. But where you see that shading of blue, that's again because of the southwesterly wind coming in off the water, which is chilly this time of the year. Newburgh 52, Sussex 53. You will also be into the 60s by tomorrow. Aforementioned wind directions, you can see the arrows coming out of the south and the southwest, and again averaging about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So that's why it's kind of raw and chilly right now if you're out across Long Island and coastal areas. Again, the temperatures overnight only slow to drop because of that southwesterly wind, but they should settle off into the mid-30s. That's in the city by tomorrow morning, but a lot of the suburbs with clear skies and the wind gets a little bit lighter. You'll see numbers in the 20s and low 30s early tomorrow morning. In the clear now. That's because high pressure's in charge. But where's the nearest storm? We've got to go all the way west. Oh, I'm leaving the screen. We've got to go west of the Mississippi to find it. And that means high pressure's with us for at least the next 2, almost 3 days. The high is going to move very slowly to the south of us, pumping in that milder air. And again, keeping the showers away. Notice the first attempt didn't make it. Second attempt, a couple of sprinkles offshore. That's on Wednesday. The more significant one probably comes on Thursday. You can see a little arm of showers in here. That's with the warm front. But notice, even as we get into a wetter pattern, it's on, it's off. We get breaks in between. I don't think it's going to be a continuous rain that we see. This is overnight into Friday morning. Then there's another break. This is overnight, Friday night to Saturday morning, another break there. And then the bigger push of rain where a storm actually takes shape looks like it's going to be on Saturday. That could be kind of a chilly rain, too, because yeah, those are flakes all the way up into New England. Let it stay up in New England. Meantime, for tonight, 36 in the city, clear sky, chilly. Again, 20, some of the burbs. Tomorrow, we're talking about temperatures making it into the upper 50s in the afternoon with plenty of sunshine. Here's your 7-day outlook, though. Yes, it is going to be spring-like. 60 tomorrow, 64 Thursday, 60 Friday. Then we lose it by Saturday, 50. But watch for the scattered showers Thursday and a steadier rain by the time we get to Saturday. But I think we're off on the right foot, guys. Looking pretty good.
All right, Chris.
Yeah. Well, Tiger fever taking over Princeton University this March Madness. The Tigers pulled off stunning upsets over second-seeded Arizona and seventh-seeded Missouri this weekend on the way to their first-ever Sweet 16.
Yeah, students and residents of the Princeton community, they're getting geared up for this weekend's games. Jim Vassell has a look for us.
There's another.
Hey, bring it. We're ready.
How sweet it is to be a Princeton Tiger, as the men's basketball team is just one win away from the Elite Eight in the NCAA March Madness tournament.
We expect, for us to be busy.
The university's official store is ready for Tiger fans looking to gear up for the Sweet 16.
So we're actually getting a March Madness t-shirt to celebrate the men's and the women's winnings so far. So that's exciting. We have been getting a lot of orders for those.
Princeton Athletics has had one of its best weeks in history after seeing the school's first NCAA wrestling champion in 72 years and a huge upset by the women's basketball team over NC State last week. Though the women's team fell to Utah on Sunday, students couldn't be more proud.
They've also been incredible year after year. I think even as we go down the line, we'll see them making it further and further into the tournament.
For the men's team, this is their first Sweet 16 appearance since the Sweet 16 began in 1975.
Yeah, a bunch of my friends on Friday watched the game together. We were super excited. There was also a big crowd at Winbury's right here in town, and so we were super into it, and we can't wait to see what happens this week.
Always coming to university events growing up, it was phenomenal, and I'm glad they're really in the running to get some hardware in the trophy room.
So, is this the biggest moment in Princeton men's hoops history?
These things are always hard to maybe quantify, but with the scope and magnitude of March Madness of what it is right now, it's probably hard to argue that this impact isn't one of the biggest.
The program did reach the tournament's regional semifinal in 1967, though the tournament was much smaller then. The Tigers also had teams in the 80s and 90s that made noise in March Madness.
When the Tigers get in, they play in close games, and this weekend we got 2 huge wins, and we're hoping to string a few more together this weekend as well.
Though this season has been sweet in so many ways, the Tigers are not done yet. They have unfinished business as they get ready for their Sweet 16 matchup against Creighton, which will be tipping off Friday night around 9 o'clock. At Princeton University, Jim Vassell, PIX 11 News.
All right, we're not done talking about college basketball.
Yeah, Mark, what are you working on tonight?
Yeah, coming up in Moose on the Loose, we discuss Rick Pitino and St. John's. A match made in heaven. We'll talk about that coming up after the break. Let's be real. When St. John's is good, college basketball in this city draws a ton of interest. When they are not, it doesn't. It's been a while since the Red Storm were relevant in the Big East or on the national scene. Today, that all changed when the news came down that they were hiring Iona coach Rick Pitino's 6-year deal. Pitino is 70, but you would never know it from his energy and work ethic. He's also a winner and has shown that at Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, and of course Iona as well. He was also looking for a bigger stage that Iona could not provide, and St. John's does. The Storm have not been nationally relevant since the days of Mike Jarvis some 25 years ago. They've had hot lead assistants in Norm Roberts' failure when the former coach analyst route and Steve Lavin. That was a failure as well. How about the former legendary player hired Chris Mullen? No good, and most recently went the route of a coach that had no ties to New York whatsoever, Mike Anderson, and he was fired last week. So now they turn to Pitino. He knows the Garden, being a former Knicks coach as well. He loves this city. He's driven to rebuild his reputation, even though he was legally cleared after getting fired at Louisville. Basketball has always been this city's game. Pitino wanted a bigger platform, and St. John's needed a program builder. It will be a challenge, no less. St. John's needed to swing big, and they brought in a coach that is one of the greatest to ever coach college basketball, and it is a perfect marriage. They needed each other. Welcome back to the Big East, Rick. Until next time, New York, I'm Mark Malusis.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us at the PIX 78 News. I'm Kori Chambers.
I'm Tansem Fadal. We'll see you back here tonight at 10. Long day.
Yeah.